Alright, welcome to part 3 of TTV and BioMediaProject's walk through the past, and we have now reached the stage of this discussion where we are ready to ask some questions. So here's the deal. The questions that we have are divided into two big groups, some of which are about you personally, and others are about Bionicle Media Project and some of the unannounced projects, which you're going to talk about soon.
Yeah,
And we have questions based off that, whatever they end up
them,
being.
of course.
Yeah, if you can disclose them, however much you can disclose. We have some questions based off that, which, we'll find out what it is when we find out what it is. But first
After
of
the
all...
questions.
Wait, what?
I said after the questions, yes.
Yeah, okay. So first of all, some questions about you personally. Well, we already asked, how did you get into Bionicle and BZ Power? So,
Yes.
Mira, I think it's time you ask your fabled question that you've...
If it's super personal, I may not answer it because I don't want people to stalk me online.
None of them are
it's
that
more...
personal.
No, it's what's your favorite year of Bionicle?
2001.
Okay, you're one of those people.
Hands down.
Same with me.
You're a G1er, as some
This
person
is the interesting
say.
thing. Of course, I'm 13, so I was born the year they started testing for Bionicle, but I grew up with them because of my brother.
Yeah.
Got me interested.
And
This is an interview for them, not you.
I know. I was just saying.
Jordan could not be with us today, but he's with us in spirit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's in his room playing League of Legends.
Wait, really?
Oh. See, I'm tempted to join
for this.
Oh no!
Okay,
please
come on.
no! Don't leave me here with
questions.
these.
Let's do.
Well, forget it. Let's all go play some League of Legends.
Shut up.
I hate League of
The
Legends.
next question.
Really?
Shut up.
What are your favorite
All right.
hobbies when you're not working yourself to near death on the MP? What do you...
Oh, that's a good question. So in my off time when I'm not doing BMP stuff, I like to play some Halo, and I only play Halo on PCs, and I play all Halo on PC. I mean, I play every single version of Halo that has ever been released for PC, and it's more than you think. Okay, this is gonna, go off topic, but you asked me, so whatever.
We talk about Halo on this show sometimes.
Okay, so for the people who are not interested in Halo, you can just tune out this. But so first there's Halo 1, which is the original boxed copy. Then there's Halo Custom Edition, which is the same thing, but there's custom maps that you can play, and I find that really fun because a lot of the custom maps are better than the stock maps. And then there's Halo Portable, which is a free version of Halo Custom Edition. And then there's Halo Trial, which you can still play online, but you need a patch for it. And if you Google it, you'll find it. Then there's Halo 2, which is not very popular for two main reasons. First reason is because it's difficult to get working. If you don't know how to set it up properly, then you can't even get it to install. And the product key verification process is
terrible.
Well, it's convoluted and it's difficult.
I know from experience, it's very, very terrible.
What ends up happening is that most people can't even install the game they paid for, which is extremely silly, right?
Yeah.
So the people that do end up being able to install the game are the guys who are tech savvy. And let me tell you, the guys who are tech savvy are more skilled at playing Halo, right? Yeah, Halo 2 is a lot harder than Halo 1, not because of the game itself, but because of the people that are more skilled, because they're tech savvy, being able to play the game. If you are like in the top 1 or top 5th spot in any given Halo 1 match, you're probably going to be like near the bottom in Halo 2, because not only are people more skilled, but the weapons are more difficult to use, in my opinion. The SMG has recoil, the sniper has more recoil, and even though the hitboxes are bigger, the primary weapon that people are going to use, because it's one of the best weapons, is the BR. And the BR, if you use the BR, it's extremely frustrating because the shots scatter. But that's not the main problem. The main problem is it shoots so slow. The bullets are maybe 1/3 the speed of like an M6D pistol in Halo 1, also known as the God pistol.
Yeah.
So in Halo 1, you'd have your pistol and you'd be shooting, and the shots would reach your target very, very reasonably fast. It was pretty good, right? You only had to lead maybe a little bit, in Halo 2, you need to leap like crazy, and with your shot scattering every 3 shots, it makes it even harder to use the battle rifle. So it's harder due to those 2 reasons. Yeah.
No, that weapon can bite me.
Yeah. So, next question.
All right. Alja, this one's on you. This is a very important, life-altering question, which we need to know.
Oh, gee.
Yes, and this is for all of our fans that want to know this.
It's for all
You
the
like
marbles.
to take long walks on the beach.
I haven't really seen the beach very much, though. I'm not going to say that's an invalid question because there is a beach here, and there is a mountain here, and there's a swamp here, and there's an ice-covered mountain here, and I live in a place that has pretty much everything. Okay, I can go to the beach, I can go hiking in the mountains, I can go see like a swamp habitat and see all the great blue herons that hang around. I have a lot
Georgia,
of
isn't
biomes that are accessible.
No, it sounds more like Washington State.
Yeah.
I live in the Pacific Northwest, and also, guess what else is interesting?
Oh.
Guess who else lives in the Pacific Northwest?
Who?
Swirt and Black Six. Let me tell you guys, okay? If an earthquake ever hits the West Coast, worry about whether the 3 of us are dead, because
More
if-
like 4
if it-
of us,
if it
because I
does
also
happen-
live on the northwest region of the state.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
in the west.
If it happens, then all 3 of us could potentially be affected.
Yeah, actually, Black Six lives in Maryland.
Woo!
Oh.
Good thing I'm in the southwest.
Well.
Yeah. So next question.
All right. Next up, I will skip ahead a little bit because I want to get this question out of the way. Hero Factory. Yes or no?
Yes.
What are your
I
thoughts?
saw it. And I saw the tagline "Where we make heroes" or something along those lines, and I didn't even look into it further. So
Yeah, that
I
killed it for me
nothing-
too.
I know nothing about Hero
Nothing?
Factory. I didn't follow the story at all. I didn't look at the sets at all. I just don't care.
I
Okay,
personally
well,
don't
next
like-
question then. Oh,
That baffles me. That
that's so.
I
Give me a
can't
big
let
story.
this go. I can't let this
No, you are gonna let it
Hero
go. We're going into the
Factory.
next
Hero
Wait,
Factory
wait.
has grown.
Wait, okay. I'll get.
exponentially.
I want to get JMNB's opinion on this. What do you think of Hero Factory, JMNB?
Hero Factory is to Bionicle as is the How to Train Your Dragon's TV show is to How to Train Your Dragon. It's really cliche children's stuff.
Very
It's
true.
not really
Yeah.
much there
So
for
it's crap.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily
actually,
crap
it
so
really
much
is,
as it is
in my
No,
opinion.
no, it's
to-
crap.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, I think they do better off if they had a better story, but right now it's just.
Yeah.
The story's grown exponentially since it first came out, but it's still
I
not
like
exactly
complex
at that
story
level.
lines.
It's not engaging.
I kind of like.
Yeah.
I
In
kind
my
of like the
opinion-
building system. I'll give it
Oh
that.
yeah, the
Don't
sets.
listen to Mezzo.
That's another thing.
I have next 2.0. It's the only or
Not really
breakout
just-
next. It's the only Hero Factory set I have, and I bought it for the parts.
Not
Don't
really
listen to
a
Mezzo.
fan
He
of-
actually likes the Legends of Chima.
Well, that's a bit of a stretch. I don't like it per
Shima.
se, but I think it warrants being given a fair shot and not written off like you do it, just because it's like Thundercats.
It is
Yeah.
exactly like Thundercats.
Whoop-de-doo. Lego
Okay.
Thundercats. End of the world.
Yeah. All right.
It is.
Next question, Nira. You're up.
Okay. What are your thoughts on the current state of the Bionicle community?
And I know we already talked about that, but that's not what she means. By Bionicle community, what we're referring to is the activity of the fan base in general after Bionicle's demise, like BZP, YouTube, all the other sites. Do you think they're doing okay? Do you think that they're on a decline, not just in population, but in relevance? And how do you think the future's going to go?
Yeah, I'll probably write another blog post on this on the website maybe in a few weeks, but sure, I'll share what I have on this right now as well. I think that we can still save the community, and I think that the only way we can save it is unification. So unity, yes, unity. I would like to see BSO1 and the BMP merge back together because that was what they were originally. That was originally the plan, right? But it just got lost along the way, man. You know, CM left, and then everything just took off because people didn't know the right people. I wasn't friends with Squirt. I didn't know anyone on the BS1 team, so we just started independently of them, which is why my version of the events may be a bit different from his, because I am speaking as an outsider.
Yeah.
So we need to join back together, because if we join back together, we have a larger fan base in one location. If you asked me what I would be saying about this a couple years ago, I would be saying the opposite, because at that time the Bionicle line was still expanding, and if the story is expanding, you can expand too, because you
Most
can find your own niche. But if the story is over or it's decreasing, then your fan base is also going to be decreasing, because people are not going to be interested in anymore, because there's no news coming out, right? So if people are not being interested anymore, that means that each community is going to get smaller. So the only way to prevent that is to make the community bigger by merging, and that's what I think should happen now. And it's not going to happen unless we find out a way to, fix these broken relationships between these sites and stop worrying so much about ourselves. I mean, we should be worrying more about the sites around us, because by doing that, we can keep the entire community afloat.
Well,
More unity.
I'd say let's not let everyone in. I mean, there are some people out there.
Well, he's referring to the main groups. There's like certain large people in the Bionicle community that are.
No, I was gonna say one
scattered.
person, but
Well, I know what you're referring to.
I'm
it's
just
not-
saying BG. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, well,
I have.
regarding that, I was going to say earlier, I respect your desire to grow the BMP without necessarily needing the promotion of others. That may
Yes.
not have to. That may not always be the case. Like you just said, unification is key. But back
Yes.
when it was the case, that is definitely something I can get behind. Because
If you're if you're starting a Bionicle website today, I would say that's not a great idea, and I would probably discourage you from doing it unless you have a very distinct, very separate from the other organizations. If you have a very separate idea that's not at all related, then sure, go do it. But if you're just gonna make another Bionicle fan site, that's a bad idea, because people will visit it, right? And if they're visiting your site, they're not visiting the main sites. If they're not visiting the main sites, then we get more fragmentation. If we get more fragmentation, each island will start to get drowned. So
Yep.
we need to
Great.
put these islands together and save all that we can. And while we're doing that, we need to keep people engaged by starting new projects, okay?
In that case,
Yeah.
check out the 3virtues.com coming. No. Okay.
coming soon.
I had a great idea.
SpheresMagnet.com, which is already up.
Well, I gave a question back in Makuta Fest if there was a
Yes.
way to outsource to an event, say Comic-Con or something less even. And I was wondering if there was a way to get everyone, like every Bionicle person, kind of culminated into this big group, and we would, more or less promote.
That question
the idea.
confused me during Makuta Fest, but I think I see where you're coming from now. The best avenue for that would not be Comic-Con. It would be a Lego convention, like Brick Fair.
I know,
Like
I'm just saying.
And
some
we
kind of-
had that idea many
Yeah.
years ago to have a TTV presence at Brick Fair. Never happened because of travel, but it is definitely something that we would like to do. However, I do agree with you going there with a united front. Like, Bionicle is more than just a bunch of mocks on a table. That is definitely something that should be driven home at conventions like that. Because while it is a mock showcase, it's also a Lego fan gathering. And there's a lot more which could be done at events like that.
I
Yeah, like
wish.
pizza parties.
Wow.
Sleepovers.
Oh Lord.
I would say that if you're trying to start a new Bionicle site to unify the other sites, like a United Nations sort of thing, I would say that has a lesser probability of working out than you would by just trying to get everyone to go to one big site that's already there. Because if you're trying to get everyone to go to your new site, people still don't know about it yet, right? It's a new site. But if you just try to get everyone to one that everyone already knows, people can just go there already. I think that the largest site in existence has to take charge of this issue. If this community is going to survive, they have to acknowledge this. They have to acknowledge unity is the way of the future. Because if they don't do this, then we're just going to end up losing more and more people over time. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that nicely summarizes that. LJ,
When that's
time for you
when
to
that
answer.
zombie apocalypse is coming,
I have a
Biocraft
one-off
members
question.
stand together.
Okay.
Yeah, this is completely different. You see, you mentioned a bunch of unity and whatnot for the community, and this is kind of relevant to a discussion we've been having with our biggest fan, like, of all time. This guy's like the most sensible, down-to-earth person you could ever have a discussion with. He
That's
really
sarcasm,
loves us,
by the way.
but he really loves he really wants to bring Bionicle back.
BG, man.
I know
And
what you
so,
said.
and so I have to ask, do you think at this point in time bringing Bionicle back through fan means or whatever is a good idea or not?
I think we need to wait a while. You need to look at other fan efforts that have successfully spawned revamps. Like, for example, Tron, right? Take a look at Tron. A couple years ago, people didn't, even know about it. But due to the
Unless you were a geek.
yeah, but it kind of had
Hey, I take offense to that.
Hey, I'm a geek, so
had like a massive increase in like cultural appeal over the years, and eventually Disney saw, well, this is becoming popular, let's do it, right? You need the people for this, and I don't think we're ready for that right now. I think when something ends, it becomes more legendary. It becomes, something that people cherish a lot more, and I think we need some time to pass for Bionicle to gain more of that legendary status before any company like Lego or any fan effort is going to, be able to take charge and bring this thing back. Because right now it just seems like they're trying to bring back something from just something because they don't have it anymore. Like they took it for granted that, oh, we would always have Bionicle around, and now it's not there. We instantly need it back. This just seems too impulsive for me. You need a better plan than that. You definitely need a story planned out way in advance for this thing to take place.
Like Majora's Mask.
Wow. Yeah.
Whatever. Shut up. Just shut up. I'm just pointing it out.
This is kind of discouraging me from continuing Spheres Magna. But
Come on, Spheres
Uh,
Magnet is a great idea. Projects help. They help
yeah,
sustain it.
that's true.
What
Yeah,
we
well,
need
I
to be
mean, this is
focused on is
mostly-
not bringing Bionicle back. It's keeping it alive until we're at that
Right,
point
that's-
where bringing it
Wow.
back
Exactly.
is viable.
Yes.
That's what everyone
You
should
guys-
be focusing on. Yeah,
you
Nir?
guys have actually reminded me of a quote that Bakama has said.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
What
and
was
that,
that?
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Matorn into Traga, or the
Toa in
Matorn into Toa, Toa into Traga, Traga into Legend,
Legend.
and now because you said that,
Damn
Bionicle
it!
is
I was
Legend.
gonna try to do the impression.
Bionicle is at that
Do
legend
it.
phase.
Yeah, Bionicle is in the Legend phase, but it will come back.
Someday.
Gathered friends,
Oh, come
listen
on.
again to the story of the Bionicle fan community.
Well,
So, what were you gonna say to me, Mesa, before I had
Well,
said my question?
I'm gonna ask a follow-up to your question. So when the time does come to bring Bionicle back, do you agree with the mentality that many people have as far as how to get to that point, being rather than focusing on creative works, let's spam Lego with emails and let's show them that interest still lives. Let's email them and write letters. Do you think that that is a viable method of showing Lego there's interest left?
I think there's two types of that sort of resurgence. There's reactionary, which I consider to be, trying to get something you had that you don't have anymore, you're trying to get it back. And then there's this revival thing where it's like, okay, so this thing has gradually gotten popular, more and more popular after it was ended over these years for whatever reason, and now the time has come to bring it back. And I think right now we're still in that reactionary phase. So I think that right now we should focus on bringing together the sites and adding more projects. But I think that if you just spam Lego with emails, they'll just see the same thing that we see right here, which is the instant reaction of not having it. I think it needs to take some time. After we see the reactionary people, sort of calm down and, accept the fact that nothing lasts forever, after that, and then we start to see it become sort of like this cult classic, right? This
Yeah.
classic story of these 6 heroes. Once it starts coming back again, like it's like a parabola, right? At the beginning, it's like very, very high because they want it back, but then it starts to die off. People, accept it, and then it gets over that crest, and then it becomes like, oh, now people are starting to get interested in it again because they remember it so fondly. At the other side of that peak, that's where it's going to get revived. I don't think it's going to get revived so soon.
That's pretty much our opinions on the matter as well. If you want to ask my opinion, will Bionicle come back? Definitely. I think it will be back one day. I make no guarantees on the form of its story when it comes back, or the shape the sets will take, or if it will even be Lego that brings it back. It's not unheard of for the rights to an IP to be licensed to someone else, or for it to be in movie form maybe without
Possible.
sets. Who knows?
Oh.
I do think Bionicle will in some way, shape, or form be back one day. With that being said, next question. LJ.
When I hit the lottery, I'll buy all the rights to it.
Oh, no. Yeah. Buy the rights. Yes. That's an idea which has been floating around that we had to
When I
debunk
become
a while
famous and I
ago.
get a bunch of
Only if you
right.
won the Mega Millions.
Yeah, like twice.
Anyway,
No,
LJ.
I think we can haggle our way down.
Ask the next question, LJ, and this is in relevance to us.
question.
Yeah. So, how in the
I
world
said
did you hear about
next
TTV? And would you recommend us to others in the Bionicle fan base?
Oh,
Do you like
You totally
us?
would recommend us because we're the best.
Okay, so I first heard about you
Gotta
guys.
shoehorn us in.
I first heard about you guys while I was Googling our organization and seeing what people were trying to say about it.
Really?
And when I was doing that, and I was going on YouTube and Googling and doing all that kind of stuff, and I saw you guys putting up some videos about our games, and I watched the videos and they were quite funny, and so I thought, hey, these guys are pretty cool. Let's see what they have to offer. And I asked around, and you guys actually do interviews. So I'm like, okay, that would be cool. Let's get interviewed, right? Let's share the story that I have to share, because I don't want to make myself sound elitist, but I am one of the people that has seen almost the entirety of the events of this community. I have
Definitely.
seen the rise and fall of Crystal Matrix's original Biosector 1. I have seen the wiki completely take over the domain, even though it's not even the same thing anymore. I have seen, the BZ Power server start to get overloaded, and I've seen it get hacked by people who don't like their policies. I've seen the creation of the other wikis and the other sites. I mean, I've seen a lot. So I just want to share.
You already had
what
a
I
unique
have
perspective to
seen.
share
Yeah.
knowledge. Most definitely. There's no room for argument about that.
And JamMB, I think, has seen most of it too.
Yeah.
Not as much, but
Yeah,
I actually have a question. Correct me if I'm wrong. I may be mistaking you for someone else, and this is not actually directed towards you, Aron. This is a question for JMB.
Sure.
I may
Sure.
be wrong about this. Weren't you involved with the movement to bring the Legend of Matanui video game, make it released up for download, track it down, or was that someone else?
yes.
I
were?
personally was not, but other staff members have.
Yeah, I was asking.
Ben
JMB.
and JamMB have also been involved in that. If you guys want to talk about it a little, you can.
That's what I was gonna ask next. Some of our
Oh.
fans, because we used to be a part of the BZ Power community, and eventually we decided with the site getting hacked all the time, it's not worthwhile to have our only base of operations set up on that website where it could go down at a moment's notice. That's when we decided we moved to YouTube, and as it is dubbed, the BioTube community is drastically different from that of the other Bionicle communities out there. A lot of
This I
people
know.
have no clue that BSO1 is even a thing, or BZ Power is even a thing.
Yep.
Nira had never heard
Yep.
of BSO1 or anything like it. She's our prime
Yeah, I was-
example.
YouTube
Yeah.
communities tend to be like that, I've noticed.
To be honest, it's very sad.
Scrub tier.
so sad.
So a lot of our fans not only probably do not know the full story about this fabled game, but a lot of them probably don't know it exists. So I think this is a nice opportunity to talk
Yeah.
about it a little bit.
Well,
Could you enlighten?
Surprisingly enough, I actually have
of the
heard of this
people.
game.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what I have personally. Maybe JamMB and Ben can elaborate on this if they like, but this is what I have from it personally, right? So right now we've had some contacts with the game, and those contacts have sometimes replied to us, sometimes not replied to us. but we only have a few of the game's files that were available publicly. We don't have any exclusive files that were privately made only for us. We don't have any of those yet. We do investigate the few leads that we have, but they're very finicky, and there's a lot involved. It's not just getting the game; it's the legal battle.
Yes, I followed
it's
that
the legal
topic
battle.
back on Busy
There's,
Fowler with Wrapped Attention back when it was still a thing before the downtime, and there was a flow of positivity and momentum towards getting information about it, and then it's kind of died off since the forums came back.
And besides the hunt for the CD, there's also a side effort on the BioMediaProject forums for creating the game from scratch. Basically remaking the game, as it were, because we have the skills that we're able to do this from our community now. We're much older. We can do this, right? We don't need the game. We can just do it. We can model everything.
Pretty much.
We can animate everything. We can just do it all ourselves, right? That's the
Yeah, a
second
guy
thing.
named Shaggy Nerd has started the project. He has so far completed the entire Anua model, and
It looks good. It
Yeah, it
really
does
looks good. If you check out the topic, it looks awesome.
yeah, I would highly recommend checking out that topic.
Yeah.
I think I will.
Send this. I must see.
Wow.
Must.
All right.
Next question.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
Well, actually, I did kind of want to hear your take on that, JMMB. If you have anything to add.
The game.
Yeah. The hunt for it and whatnot.
Yeah. We're mostly stuck at the moment. All of our leads have dried up.
Has Red Quark just died off the face of the earth?
he's
Or...
dead.
Yeah, pretty much. We have some names of people that said they had it, but
There's a guy named Mark Kendall. He owns all the rights to the game, actually, and we tried to get in contact with him.
yeah,
That was the most
probably
promising
doesn't.
one, I
Thought
think.
his name sounded familiar, and then he explained, "Oh, now I know."
And the same woman who sold me the prototypes that I have, I'm sure a lot of people know about them. She said she did have the Legend of Matanui game at one time. She said she was an employee at Legoland, California.
Well,
And yeah, and she said I can't remember which department she worked for, but she said her whole entire department had received it for some reason, which I find odd, but
Well, there are very limited copies of that game.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was under
As
the
far as we
impression.
know.
I was under the
And
impression no
she
one
said
at
she was
Lego.
going to try to look for it for me, and I was going to try to purchase it from her, but I have not heard back from her for about a month now.
well,
We also
Yeah, I
also
was-
have this
I'm
staff
really
member on
hoping
our.
still,
Sorry,
but
go ahead.
you go ahead. I'm fine.
Okay, so I was gonna say we have one member on our forums by the name of Borman, I believe. Is that correct? Borman?
I
Borman.
don't.
I
I
believe
think
so, yes.
I think it's Borman. He apparently has access to pre-release and unreleased versions of old Bionicle games, and the release model he has used for those is to one, not care about the legal implications, because basically we've seen over the years. You can go to youtube.com, look up Mask of Light, and watch the whole thing. Like they don't really seem to care.
They don't really care.
But-
Same. You can do the same with Metronui as well.
Here's
And
the
Web of Shadows.
Yes.
Here's the thing. Even though it's a Lego product, the very brand itself is no longer in use, is no longer necessary.
Yeah.
And before you say Hero Factory, I'm just going to say that's something entirely different.
I
in and
know.
of
I
itself.
wasn't going to say Hero Factory. You are
I don't think
100%
anyone's
right.
going to say that.
They're protecting
So,
it
quite
for future
frankly-
use. They're not really concerned about past use at this point.
Yes. So,
But-
quite frankly,
yeah.
we can do whatever we want in the scope of things. So, that's kind of what we're doing, the whole BioCraft thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
taking their story and their ideas and all that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the legality of the whole issue is not pressing, so that's kind of why we can get away with it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But I swear, if this game could be tracked down, it would be like the holy grail of the Bionicle fandom. That would revitalize the fandom single-handedly.
Those are actually the exact words I use when talking to the person who's trying to get it from.
Wow.
Holy Grail.
Would it really be the Holy Grail though? Because we already have 2 other Bionicle games. It's not like it's the only Bionicle game,
I would say
right?
Destiny Online game.
Oh yeah, it would be the Holy
I
Grail.
mean, it's a lot better than
because
Destiny on.
Wait, which one?
Destiny could ever be.
The Legend of Mana Nui, the one we've been talking about, the fabled game. It would not be because the game itself is a masterpiece, but it would
Right,
be
it's just
because
because of how
the
the
fair.
novelty of the idea. It's
has-
legendary at this point.
Yeah.
It
I don't
was
think
the
I
original.
remember it.
The game was actually meant to be the canon story for the 2001 storyline.
Yup.
Before
You
it
know,
was canceled.
I like the online game, the Matnui online games.
That's
Yeah.
that is actually my favorite game of all time. It's just so holds so
Second
much
one.
nostalgia for me.
Yeah, I love.
I've been playing it since
Games.
2002.
Here's the thing.
I think I
was
still
start-
have the game too.
Wow.
Well, we could play it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I would have done more with it because, quite frankly, I would have done more of the RPG aspect. You can play as any of the,
Wow.
or you can make up your own character and start
Really
out in
ambitious
any.
for that era Flash game. What they were trying to tell, the
Flash
story they were
War.
trying
know.
to tell.
It's big enough. It
Perhaps.
already exceeded quite some expectations.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, if there was going to be a sequel, why not expand way upon that? I mean, Flash games nowadays are
Yeah.
much more
Advanced.
robust, much more advanced. Than God, when did this game come out? 2004.
1, I think. 2004.
Really?
We're talking about the Mana Nui
you
online
talking-
game.
Sorry.
2001.
Sorry, I was spitballing my numbers there. So 2001. Shut up. So that's 12 years ago, man. Imagine what could be done now.
I was only 1 when that game came out.
Oh, wow.
Scrub.
What a thought. Anyway, I think it's time. I think we've talked about this enough. Let's get into this mystery project, because we have some questions about that are kind of generic, can be adapted depending on what it actually is. But I want to get to this. I'm curious.
So BMP projects, right?
Yes. Wait, there's more than
Okay,
one?
So, there's always more than
Yeah.
one. There's multiple.
What
Oh
on earth?
no!
And Orna, are you
Yeah.
going to talk about the Project Brick at all?
Yeah,
I think
I
that's
will.
something to talk about.
They're actually
Okay,
all
so-
about Project Brick.
Okay, so all right. First off, Project Brick. We recently launched Project Brick for the first time. Project Brick is our goal to capture and back up and show for the public all of LEGO's online web promotional media. So all
this.
their games, all their videos, all their wallpapers, everything. And it's analogous to the BMP. It's basically the BMP for LEGO.
That's insane.
And right now, yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying,
Go ahead.
insane.
Okay, so right now the site is kind of bare because we haven't really had enough time to work on our tiles. As I said, the first time you make your tiles, it's going to take a long time. But after you get your
all starting to make those cereal styles.
after you get your tiles, then it's a lot easier because you only need to update them once or twice when things change. But what we have on that site right now is just games. We don't have images, videos, or wallpapers. So that means we have a lot of work to do. And that's not our only project. We have multiple projects going on at any given time. All my BMP staff know that's the case. So as I said, understaffed, it's going to take time. You know, what can you do?
Understood.
Just like that.
So I'll assume you have no estimated date for completion, of course, as of yet.
It's probably going to take, if you ask me to estimate right now, I'm going to say probably
Years?
2 years.
Okay, that sounds
Yeah.
fair.
Unless suddenly after this podcast I get like 15 new staff members, it's going to take 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone was gonna say something.
So, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just like to add, when all is said and done, we'll have like well over 60 gigabytes of Lego media, and that's
Whoa.
significant.
That's insane.
I think that's a low estimate.
Yeah, you're probably right actually.
That's nothing compared to what we got.
Mints.
Hmm.
Oh, did
We have
Ben and Jim and B, did you guys hear about Mints the other day? He said
Yes, yeah, I heard.
he had 10 gigs of games. 10
Oh, wow.
gigs. And
Okay.
he was talking to me and he was saying, Oren, how am I going to distribute all this? How am I going to upload a single 10 gig file? No one's going to want to download that, man. So we were thinking, oh, should we split it up by individual game? And then he's like, no. Then we're going to have like hundreds of archives. And then we're like, okay, so we need to find this middle ground between one huge file and 100,000 huge files. So right now we're probably going to go by theme. So all the games from one theme go in one archive, and that's how we do it for every theme. We just have, yeah. That's just how we're going to do it now, I think.
So how long have you been working on this?
LMP?
Yeah.
Or Project Brick, I mean?
Yeah.
I should explain. LMP is sort of our code name for the project because we originally referred to it as Lego Media Project, but as you know, we cannot use trademarks in our URLs. So we switched it to Project Brick. That was from a staff vote. We decided on Project Brick, which coincidentally was the name I came up with. So I was very happy with that. But anyway, so we're going to split up all these things by theme, and we're probably going to have to do the same for media. Right now, this project is looking very, very ambitious. But my hope is that in the future, it will grow so big that we can merge it with the BMP and then only have to run one WordPress installation. Because if you run two, there's some conflicts between them sometimes and syncing issues and all that kind of stuff. It just makes things more complex than it needs to be. So if we merge BMP and the LMP, then we'll have one site with everything, and then it'll just be Project Brick. It won't be BioMediaProject anymore, right? Yeah. So, yeah, so it depends on how big we end up getting. If it's just going to be like a small side thing right now with not as much as the BMP, it's probably going to stay like this for a while.
Understood.
Yeah.
Well, what are some of the other projects you're working on?
Yes, other projects. So we're going to make a big push for the next revision of the BioMedia project. Every time we have a new revision, we are completing a huge list of tasks. On our BMP 4.5 list, we have like less than 20. I think it was 14 or 15 tasks. This time, we're looking like maybe around 100 tasks we've done since the beginning of last year.
Each of them are pretty big.
Yeah, and they're not small either. Yeah. So we're coming up on BMP 5.0, and what the 5.0 symbolizes to me, and for the viewers viewing the site, is the completion of migration of all the content from BMP 4.5 to the new site. Right now, we are missing the picture galleries. That is the only thing we are missing other than some various mobile support, but I think that's the lesser problem. The main thing is the picture gallery, because in BMP 4.5, we had a very extensive picture gallery. We had wallpapers, we had posters, we had everything streaming. All the pictures in our picture archive were streaming. And I think our picture archive is one of the biggest archives we have. It's like 6 or 7 gigabytes, if I remember correctly. It's pictures, but it's huge. So we're going to have to spend a lot of time uploading those pictures. But the bigger problem is that we need to work on the image gallery system. And JMB can comment on this if he wants to. But basically, we're going to make a picture gallery that is Windows 8 installed, Windows 8 inspired as per the rest of the site. And we're going to use it to show off all the images from our archives. So if you need an image and you don't want to just Google for things, it's going to be a very, very good place to get images because it's going to be super organized. You're going to have folders like wallpapers / 2001. You're going to have all the 2001 wallpapers we could ever find on the internet. No other place on the internet is going to have this. BSO1 doesn't even come close. So we're going to have this comprehensive collection that everyone's going to be able to see, and it's going to be everything, every picture ever released, and it's going to be awesome. And right now we have a preview of what we're doing. If you go to the website and you check out the pictures link at the top, you can see the comics section. And if you go click that comics section and you look at titles, that's going to be what it's going to look like when it's all finished for all the pages. The comics streaming section is the only streaming picture section that we have right now. Unless you count the streaming BionicleStory.com, but that's been in our pictures folder for quite a while. We may or may not move it out, but the comics, that's our example for how it's going to look. It's going to be 120 by 120 tiles in a huge grid presumably, and the comics page. If you look at it, I chose each of those tiles manually. I chose them manually because I wanted each tile to instantly be able to identify the comic and the events that were going on. So if you look at the tiles, you can get a pretty good idea of what happened in each comic actually, and I hope that our picture gallery will be just as good as it looks right now.
Yeah.
So basically, I think it depends. It depends on JMB, on how JMB is going to do this, of course. But I think a recommendation from me would be you'd have your grids of tiles horizontally scrolling, and then you'd click on any tile. It would bring up a light box with the image, and you'd have maybe a download link at the bottom so you could view or download the full image. And that's pretty much all we need. You could also do a carousel or a film strip viewer like you had in Windows XP. Remember in Windows XP you had that film strip viewer mode where you'd have film strip at the bottom, images on top. That was one of the big image viewing solutions for Windows XP. So we could do that too. It's all up to what JMB has planned right now. So if he wants to comment on that, he can if he likes.
I'm looking at the way that the Metro UI image viewer handles it, kind of. How it goes really big tiles, so you can flip through all the images and then pick one that you want.
That's cool too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just worried about whether those large images have to be curated manually, because if you're doing those big windows, I think you might have to manually resize and center, because sometimes the focus of the picture isn't in the middle. Sometimes it's in the corner, right?
Yeah.
So it might have to be manually curated, but if it turns out looking as good as it does in Windows 8, then it'll be no problem at all. Yeah, it'll be really good. It'll be really good. No, regardless. Yeah.
Well, that is excellent.
Yeah.
Do you have any other projects currently being worked on?
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
more.
I have.
Even
Oh,
more.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh Lord.
BMP, we never stop working. Okay, so besides the image viewer, besides
Show
LMP,
off, why don't you?
we've got I am ready to reveal year pages. So
What?
year pages, the BMP staff have heard this from me before. The year pages are going to be my take on saga guides. Look at BSO1 saga guides. You load them up. Let's click 2001, right? I see a picture of the Toa at the top, and I see 4,000 words. If you're trying to introduce something to someone, are you going to ask them to read 4,000 words? I don't think so.
Nope.
So our approach is to do the same thing as the saga guides, but do the opposite, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're currently BSO1 saga guides. They're maybe 10 or 20% images and 80% text. We want to reverse that. We want it to be the media taking the spotlight. So the media explains the events, what's going on. The video,
And that doesn't
picture.
mean just pictures either.
Yeah, that's not just pictures. It's videos, it's pictures, it's audio, it's everything. We want that media to kind of explain what's going on, and then we're going to use text as supporting statements. We're not going to do paragraphs of huge length. We're going to do brief summaries, and it's going to be mostly a visual experience. The closest analog I've got for you, think of reading a magazine. Think of reading Flipboard. Think of any of these new social media type things where it's mostly images. It's not information dense, and information density can have its merits when you want to know about every single thing that happened, right? But if you're just trying to introduce something to someone, which is our goal here, this project is being developed in mind for introducing new fans to Bionicle, right? Because the fans who are already interested know what they're looking for. They can just go to 2004 because they were looking for Vaki. They know all that stuff, but new fans don't know. So we want to introduce them to it with visual media instead of huge paragraphs. We want it to be completely immersive. We want it to feel like you're using an app, basically.
Yeah.
It's going to be super smooth. It's going to have lots of imagery. It's going to be great. It's in the planning stages right now. We've written up our first mock-ups, or at least I have. And right now we're just thinking about the technical constraints. We're thinking about whether we want to scroll sideways or vertically, because we can do both, but not at the same time, because then it's kind of annoying because you're looking at it looks like a small window if you do it that way. So we're in the planning stages. By my planning and by my estimation, we're going to be able to release some beta or maybe even finish it by the end of the new year. So at the end of 2014, maybe a little bit into 2015, maybe some tweaking. But I think we'll be done the majority of it by the end of 2014. That is my plan, and that is going to help in bringing this community back from the dead. I think because you're going to be able to engage new visitors to Bionicle. You're going to be able to show them what has happened. You're going to be able to show them the nostalgia that you experienced while you were there throughout all these years. Right now, there's no real way to do that, I'm going to say, because BS1's approach is too text heavy. It's not ideal, I will say, not ideal. So
we're kind of trying to make this like a kind of like the same experience you would have got from Bionicle.com in the early years.
Exactly. It's going to look like you're browsing the site. It's going to be a gentle introduction to the events. So it's not just like, oh, look at these guys and look what they're doing. It's going to be very, very straightforward for new people to take a look at.
All right.
Yeah, so
that's pretty cool.
That's another one of the projects we've got, and probably the most useful project to us for an investment in the long term, but maybe not so interesting to you guys. But it's still a huge deal for us, I think. It's forms. We want forms.
Yeah.
Forms are fields that you fill in on the site, and you press submit, and I get an email. And what we want forms for is to make communication easier. Because right now, all we have is contact@biomediaproject.com. And what that means is you have to copy that email, paste it into Gmail, write your message, and press send, and worry about whether we're going to respond, okay? That's how it is right now. It's not ideal. So we want forms. We want forms for, first of all, we want forms for tasks. Because, as I said, we are severely understaffed. If we're understaffed, things are going to work slowly. If things work slowly, more of the community leaves. So we need to get this done quickly. So we're going to solicit the community's help in doing this, and the way we're doing this is by using forums. We're going to say, okay, if you'd like to help the Biomedia project with a task, fill out this form. Here's our to-do list. These tasks are not very difficult in some cases. In some cases, we just need you to make us some tiles. They may not be difficult. However, some of them may be time-consuming. And what we have in spades is skill. We have tons of skill on this team. I'm incredibly proud of the work that JMB and Mints and all the other staff have put into this site over the years. I mean, it's probably one of the greatest achievements of my life so far. That's a huge thing to be able to say, you know? When you're this early in your career and you've already created something like this, it's amazing, in my opinion, anyways. So we're going to create a system where people can help us with tasks. And when they help us with tasks, we can get things done faster because a lot of the stuff is not very hard. We might just need some images you make, for example. Yeah. So you'll be able to look at the list of tasks. You'll be able to choose which one. You'll paste it into the field and add your name and address and all that stuff and press send. And then we'll enlist you as a temporary staff member just for the duration of that task. We're not asking you to join the staff. Let me be clear. We're asking you to just do one thing for us. If you want to do one thing for us once, even that makes a huge difference. And my hope is that after you do this a couple times, you'll be like, hey, this isn't so hard. And I really like these guys. I want to help them out. I like what they're doing. So why don't I join the staff? I want it to lead to more staff because we need them. So,
well, hey, we have over 3,000 subscribers. If we put the info to this in the description, maybe you'll get some help.
That would be awesome.
You have 3,000 subscribers. You need only 100 subscribers to live stream to YouTube. You guys should think about live streaming.
Okay, first of all, if we live stream, we're never live streaming on YouTube. We're not doing that.
Why not?
The chat and the functionality of that service is terrible.
Ustream, oh yeah.
Either Ustream or Twitch, one or the other. We would not be opposed to doing.
Twitch.
Yeah, Twitch. Twitch is the more popular out of the two currently. But most people use that for, like, you know, gaming, let's plays and whatnot. But I think a podcast setting could work.
Yes.
We probably will eventually.
Yeah, you do get the chat room that way. Right now, we don't really have a chat room, so yeah. Most podcasts, like if you go to like any internet podcast, a lot of them have chat room, and a lot of them also have show notes.
Yeah.
I would like to start my own podcast for the Biomedia project, but the problem is the same problem we've been discussing for the past few minutes. It's being understaffed. I just don't have enough people to do it. If it comes to it and I have the time, I'll probably just do it solo. And I'll just say, hey, look at what we're working on.
You
Hey,
can
look at
talk.
this. Hey, look at that.
You can talk for a long period of time, as has been
And,
demonstrated.
and
Oh God.
if it sounds like
That's
if
putting
it
it
sounds
mildly.
like yeah, if it sounds like I've done this before, it's not because I've done this before. It's because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I
Me
listen
too.
to solo podcasts. And if you can run your solo podcast, then you know how to get viewers, because solo podcasts are quite difficult with the awkwardness of being on air. That can be reduced somewhat the more you listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you have to take some time to learn the merits of podcasting.
You see,
It's
I
quite
listen to a
interesting,
guy. I listen to a guy that does that too. Is Arcangia.
You listen to him too? Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, his ruminations are amazing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that guy can go for hours. And I'm amazed.
There are plenty of people that can pull it off. You should look
Yeah.
at doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I wish I
we
could.
we know one who's right here.
you can go for hours as long as you have a good story to tell. I think people love storytelling. They like
Most
being engaged
definitely.
in the events
Mhm.
that
You know,
People
sitting
are
around a
explaining.
campfire,
Yeah.
cooking s'mores.
Yeah, I live stream on TwitCam quite a bit, and
Yes, you do.
this, I know. Yeah, they love stories. They like being entertained.
Hey, Nira,
I
What?
guess they weren't entertained by me.
can we see your feet?
Oh God, back to
He's
yeah. A lot
parodying
of the
people.
people who watch me are perverts.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Tell you what, you can see the feet so long as they're planted in your face.
All right, so
We have 2 more questions.
I got
to
some
today.
questions.
Okay, that's all the projects I've got
These
for
are
now
still
that I'm ready to
projects.
reveal. We have more projects that we're working on that are still being developed, but when I'm ready to reveal them and we have enough stuff to show, then we'll reveal them, maybe on our site or maybe on this podcast even. So
Hey, well.
yeah, look forward to what we're doing, and it's going to be fun to see how the year pages and forums and the LNP, shake out over the next few years.
Definitely.
So if you got any more
There's
questions,
2 more still about projects.
I totally
Okay,
forgot.
you work on a bunch of them. What pastime has kept you most sane while working on these?
what pastime?
Yeah, do you like play golf, mini golf?
Well, I already said Halo, but like, what do
Well,
you
I
do
play
to
golf.
relax and wind down? Say you've had a hard day
Yeah.
of BMP work, and you're about to go mad, and you
Nothing like fragging people or hitting them in the face after a long day of BMP stuff.
Most definitely.
Right?
Gotta slap a fool around.
Mhm.
For me, I just play Minecraft.
You're such a.
I like Minecraft.
See,
Alright.
here's the thing. I don't play PC version. I'm an Xbox Minecraft guy.
Missing
I
out.
played on Xbox mostly.
Missing out.
I play on PC.
You're missing out on
I've heard
mods.
it's a lot better on PC.
I just like the controller. It fits.
You can
perfectly.
use controllers for PC
The
Minecraft.
controller.
Shut up! I don't have
Okay.
anything set
We-
up.
Are we interviewing you two? I didn't
We
think
should
so.
interview Era one day, just for the heck of it.
You
My
can, you can
next
ask you can ask JM and B and Ben some questions if
You guys-
if you like.
What do you guys?
I'm not the only one.
What hobbies do you enjoy? So-
I also play Halo.
Cool.
Video
Yeah.
games in general. I play golf.
I do
You actually.
There
Oh.
we
all the
go.
people.
LJ was kidding.
What do you must
You actually play. Oh,
Why?
that's cool.
Yeah.
Guy who knows how to classily play a sport. No, kidding. But it's
Sport.
just,
See.
I
You
don't
know,
know. how to
I just like anything that involves computers. I'm developing a few websites.
Yeah, I was actually gonna
Uh,
ask you about that at the very end of the thing.
and that doesn't count Spheres Magna actually.
Yeah, more?
That's actually a theme that I bought. I did not design that theme.
Mhm.
Just put that out there.
Okay, what about you, JMMB? What do you do to relax? What are your hobbies?
I hack for sport, not so much to actually make a nuisance of myself to people.
Really?
Huh.
For,
You hack for
Um,
sport?
hack for sport, yeah.
Interesting.
Kind of like Smash the Stack.
Very interesting.
And
Is your favorite Toa Kopaka perchance? No, I'm kidding.
no, it's a Toa Liwa.
Oh, yes! Yes! All right. Excellent.
Okay.
Also,
Yeah,
Don't
just
get your hopes up
So it
there.
was
kiddo.
actually
I'll
quite
just
good.
ask the final main question.
Have you ever been so angry because at this project that you punched through a computer monitor?
No, but
I wish
I
our
have
group
been,
could say that answer. I really do.
but I have been down in the dumps, I would say, about this project a few times. Like in 2009, it was just JMMB and myself for like a long time, and at that time I was considering ending the project there because it was just getting so hard with just 2 people. It's a massive amount of work. I was handling everything but the games, and JMMB was working very hard on like getting the games to work. It's not exactly easy work either way. It's either going to be repetitive tasks or troubleshooting, either one, and neither of those are very fun a lot of the time. So we entered a phase where we didn't really post on the site much, and that was probably the worst part so far. The closest we've come to the end of like working on the
Yet
site. That was
persevere.
if we didn't get Nat ending up joining us after Tronek left and helping us out and starting us on Drupal, we probably would have given up at that point. It was too lonely, and we were completely convinced, I would say, that there was no one else that wanted to help. It was very depressing. Yeah, it was bad.
Hmm. Wow.
I have to say I've had a rage moment, sort of relating to the BMP.
Did you punch through a computer
When
screen?
well, I didn't punch through the computer screen, but I punched the screen.
Oh, you punched the screen. Okay, then you're up there with a certain someone from our group who actually punched through the screen.
Oh my
which
gosh,
we're
who's
not
that?
we're not gonna reveal who it is on air. I'll tell you after.
Some
Well,
mysteries.
tell me afterwards. Tell me afterwards.
There's
Me
some
too, I wanna
things
know.
that-
However, I
You're
can
gonna
say
like
I
it.
can
Anyway,
say who's at fault, and that is a certain LJ in the call. He is the reason this happened. But
Anyway, I
yeah,
lost all the cereals tiles I had just made for the Biomedia project.
Because you
well,
punched the screen?
I thought I had. Yes.
That's
yes,
what happened
when
to
I
us. We
punched-
lost a ton of podcast information because someone punched the screen. So we're.
But then I found out later that they weren't actually lost.
Oh,
So that was good.
I wish we were that lucky.
You know, the evolution of the Biomedia project, it couldn't have happened sooner. I mean, when I say that, I mean like it couldn't have been any faster. It was already going as fast as it possibly could because the internet and Windows itself, like the OS, was still being developed to at that time to encourage more use of images and things like that. First it was the Zune, then it was Windows 8. If we didn't have those things and we didn't have the time that we had to gain the necessary skills for web development, like Tronek and Nat and JMMB in particular, all 3 of those were very, very crucial in helping us realize these dreams. It couldn't have happened any faster. We were developing the site as the people were developing these UI concepts. I mean, in the 2000s, like before the Zune, like nobody had seen these types of tile interfaces before, as far as I've seen. The Zune was probably the first to do it right and do it in a way that is visually appealing. So we decided to do that, but we couldn't have done it if they didn't do it. So it was the development of the site was being closely mirrored by the development of not just the Zune or any other single product, but the development of computers and the development of the internet. It was all linked together. We couldn't have just jumped to where we are now because we just wouldn't have the necessary items and tools that we had to do this. So it's been interesting to see the 3 of them grow up together, the internet and the computer OSs and UI elements in particular. It's always interesting for me when I'm developing UIs because JMB and I, we share this characteristic. We want UIs, user interfaces, to be very clean looking, minimalist, right? But we also want them to be insanely functional. Imagine like a spaceship that is incredibly complicated, but on the outside, it just looks like a silver ovoid sphere, right? It just looks like an ovoid shape, but on the inside, it has tons of complicated things going on. That's the BMP. It's beautiful on the outside and insanely complicated on the inside. Yeah, so we wanted to be able to convey that sense of functionality, but at the same time have this beauty of minimalism throughout the site. That was one of the motivations behind Metro UI, to make things cleaner. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What about you, JMMB? Have you ever gotten angry and done something like that?
I don't think I've ever punched a monitor, but I've probably made rude gestures at it.
Okay.
Story of my life.
Fan of Liwa, player of golf. This man has class.
Yeah. I
Golf.
think
Nah.
Trideltix. I keep forgetting how to pronounce your name. Trideltix. Trideltix. Okay, yeah, Trideltix.
Yeah.
He plays golf.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's right.
well, the golf plane's counteracted by his incredibly high-priced Knowi masks. No class for you.
Okay, so I have a final question. I just brainstormed, and then we're gonna call it quits, I think, for the day. And that is,
All right.
where were
Was that
you?
my question?
No, it's not your question. I think we've talked about. We had a ton more questions, but we've pretty much covered them through general conversation. So we're not gonna bother asking them at this point. It'd be a rehash.
Yeah.
The question I have: where were you when Bionicle ended?
Well, that's
I
a good
was-
question.
I was working on the BMP.
Wow. For real?
Yeah.
That must have been soul crushing.
Let me say something about the ending of that site and BioMediaProject.com.
Mhm.
So back when we created the Biomedia Project, we were taking our cues from Crystal Matrix, and his original thesis, his argument, was that we need to back this stuff up because one day the Bionicle site or the Bionicle theme might not exist. That was his thesis, and on that day, it was June or July, when both sites went on offline permanently, that thesis was proved correct.
Yeah.
It took a decade, but the thesis was proved correct. So in that, because we were continuing exactly what Crystal Matrix was doing, personally, I felt an incredibly contradictory mix of feelings. BMP staff have heard me talk about this because I felt upset that Bionicle was over, that we'd never see it again. From what Lego was saying at the time, we don't know the future, but that was what they're saying. But I also felt victorious, and I felt victorious because we were right. Who doesn't like being right, right? We were right, and
I don't.
the Bionicle website was gone, and in its place, what stood there was the BMP. We took over their responsibility of advertising the Bionicle line. That's who we are. We are essentially their external advertising firm. That's what we do. And that's how I rationalize what we do. People come to us and say, "Oh, why are you hosting all this stuff? Copyright, blah 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 blah." You know what? I'll tell you two things. First, go watch MOL on YouTube. That should calm you down. And second, if someone says to us, "Oh, you shouldn't distribute this because this was originally paid," then we'll say, "Okay, we won't distribute it." If you ask any of our the staff, we all have pretty much everything Bionicle Media related that could ever possibly exist. The only question for us is how much of it we give to the public, or we distribute to the public, rather. So we don't really care how much we distribute to the public. We only care that we're doing the right thing in terms of promoting the line. We don't want to become one of those sites that just has everything for the sake of everything, because as you know, there are dark corners of the internet where you can get pretty much anything you want, right? And we don't want to be one of those dark corners, right? We want to promote the line in terms of its nostalgia value. We want people to look at this stuff and relive their childhoods. We want them to feel like they're 11 or 10 years old again. We want it to be like taking people back in time to a time when their lives were more simple, when they would just come home after school and just look at Bionicle and just feel happy. That was what we wanted. We just wanted it to be like a time travel machine, if you will.
Yeah.
So we will just do whatever it is to promote the media, and if people ask us to take things down, we will comply. We will take things down. And if you say, "Oh, I'd like to take this down," but then we take it down and you say put it back, we're not going to do that because you asked us to take it down. If that's what you're going with, then that's what we're going with. We're going with whatever the community feels is the right thing. That's why we put what was it? What was
Bionicle
it?
Heroes.
That serial that was behind paywalls for a long time. What was that serial called? Legend Reborn? No, that was the movie. Journey's End. There we go. Journey's End. Thank you, Journey's End. So Journey's End. That's one case of what we did. Originally, we obtained the full version of Journey's End from our source, as we usually do. We have multiple sources, and people give us stuff all the time. So we ended up having it because, well, we have everything else. Why not? But because we don't want to be upsetting people or, making people think that we're one of those shady corners of the internet, we didn't put the full version online. What we did was we put the truncated summary version online. And we kept that there for as long as the community decided that Journey's End was not supposed to be revealed in its full. And then something happened. The event which allowed us to release it was community based. We didn't receive any notifications from LEGO, or we didn't have any sort of correspondence with them. We just saw the community say, okay, so I think it was Mako that started it. So he released he or his team on Brick-A-Media, I know Brick-A-Media did it because it was on their site. They released the full version of Journey's End. And their version had a card in front of the first page. They'll sing, provided by the Brick-A-Media organization. And I would like to say that we did not get our copy of Journey's End from them. We had our copy for a long time before they got theirs. But they decided, okay, it's time to release it. And what I did then was that I did just go on my site and, update it instantly. So we had it too. This isn't what goes through my head. What I think about is the response from the community. Mm-hmm. So if I see responses in relation to that reply that say, "Oh, you shouldn't have this," people should pay for this, take it away, then I wouldn't have put it up. But I read all the posts and they were all supportive. And I also one of the things I look for, it's all BZ Power based. So I look for whether the mods, whether the admins close the topic, remove the links, things like that. If they do, then we're not going to put it up. If they don't, that means they're approved automatically by default. So if you don't do anything, it's approved by default in my mind. So they didn't do anything, and people are saying, hey, this is great. This is great that we can read this now. So we're like, okay. So the community decided that this should be public domain because it was on the Kanoka Club. And to be fair, a lot of our stuff is from the Kanoka Club, or at least what remains of it. The codes, they changed onto different mediums. Yeah. They changed onto Rotuka spinners and all that kind of different stuff. But I think the Kanoka Club name just remained because of nostalgia. Yeah. So they did all this stuff. They put up on Brick-A-Media, and they were like, okay, so the topic hasn't been locked. Mods haven't removed the links. Community response is good. Let's put it up. And then that's when I put it up, right? So our future of what we offer to the community is based on what the community decides is right. Does that answer your questions?
Yes, it does.
It's not about the copyright thing as much anymore because I think it's fair to say that we're doing LEGO a huge favor. I don't think we're giving them any hard problems to solve because what we're doing, we're essentially just advertising their products for them. And normally you go to great lengths and you pay a whole lot of money to advertise wherever. And that pays off because when you advertise, people buy your products. But if you have no advertising, then, so we advertise these products. And because of that, I think we have fair basis on doing this. And I think that LEGO appreciates it because they're not doing it anymore. But you might still be able to buy a copy of Bionicle Heroes. You might still be able to buy some Bionicle Stars sets. So they still might make some money from the Bionicle line, even though it's defunct. But I think that we're still going to be seen as something that promotes the line rather than something that's taking away from the value of the products that have been released. I think we're supplementing it, and we're bringing back the nostalgia. I don't think that we're causing any sort of major problems in any sort of degree. And I have to tell you guys, we've been at this since on our dedicated domain and our dedicated server. We've been at this since 2009, and it's our 4th year now. So if they haven't contacted us in 4 years about saying, you shouldn't be doing this, then I'm saying it's fine. LEGO has this weird thing, okay? I call it LEGO's law. And there are 2 clauses of this law. The first clause is that if you ask them, can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do this? They'll say no. But if you don't ask them and you do it, will they stop you? They won't. They won't chase you down. They just don't want anything to be officially sanctioned if it's a fan-made effort. That's why if you email them saying, can I do this? Can I do this? They'll just give you a form letter that says, thank you for being interested in Bionicle and Lego, and we appreciate your service, and then goodbye. I think they just have a form where they just paste in your name and they send it off to you, and you get it back thinking, oh, what did I just read?
Yeah.
Right?
And that's why I don't want to contact Lego about SeriousMagnet.com, because I know I'm going to get that response.
Exactly. Or you'll get an even worse response, and that response will be stop using our trademark, right?
Yeah.
Stop using our trademark. But I think, Ben, you're gonna have to change it. If you're gonna go ahead with your business plan like you outlined, I think you're gonna need to change it.
Yeah, I think.
And I wanna see it succeed as much as you do. So anyway, so we consider what we're doing to be free advertising. We're putting hard work into advertising their products, and I think that's a valid statement to stand on.
I agree.
Rather than the whole, is this copyright? Is this not copyright? We don't offer any official video games, any official movies, any of the official books. We could. It is well within our power.
The books would be hard to offer.
We have vast resources in terms of the sources that we have available to us. We could get that stuff easily, but we won't. And the reason why we won't is because, 1, we still want Lego to make money on it, and 2, because we don't want to be one of those shady corners of the internet. You know, we want people to like us, and we want to help instead of hurt the Bionicle line. So that's sort of our position on the copyright thing. Yeah.
On a bit of a same note, on numerous occasions I've seen Lego actually promote the fact that websites do have backups of their stuff.
Yeah. Really? I've never seen that.
Yeah, I've seen on like the customer service, like where can I find old games? So like a FAQ. There's like many third-party sites have backed them up, but keep in mind they're not supported by Lego.
And they even mentioned on their
in the case of the Mindstorms robots, the original ones, I know somebody contacted customer service and they said if you look online, you might be able to find a patch for this. It's like it's not by Lego.
Scandalous. Freaking scandalous. Yes. So the position that we take on that is if they're saying things like that, then I think they're going to let us keep doing this.
Most definitely.
From the things that they say, it almost sounds like they're encouraging us. It almost sounds like they're unofficially sanctioning us to allow us to do that. Don't you think?
Yeah.
It definitely sounds like it.
Yeah.
Okay. So this has been fun, and we have covered a wide range of issues, and I want to thank you guys for taking the time to come and be on our podcast and talk about your stuff. It's been fun,
No problem,
and I hope our fans enjoyed it as well, and I hope you get some requests for help from this. For all your different projects, your to-do list, and your forms and whatnot.
Thanks so much for having us on.
No problem.
No
Just
problem.
copy me the information you want me to put in the description about forms at a later date, and hopefully this will help with that.
That's okay. You can just put a link to the Biomedia Project. Like check out the Biomedia Project at BioMediaProject.com, and then that's all I need.
All right.
That's all we need.
Gotcha. Well, thank you all for listening. Who listened to this? All 3 parts, or just 1 part. If you actually listened to all 3 of these parts, you earn the seal of being TTV fan champion.
You are insane.
No. If you
You
listened to all 3 parts of this, you need to type in the comments, collect Bionicle. Do it. Okay.
Now, we will see you all next time. I'm messing
I
up.
will personally go there.
I'm
and
LJ.
shake your hands. I'm Ian.
I'm Nira.
And with us from Biomedia Project.
Oh, it's Orn.
Junior Master Model Builder, JMB.
And that's it, folks. Good
I'm
night.
not sure if you said it or not, but yes.
Yeah, no, he did.
Okay.
Oh.
See you, everybody.